As the eldest daughter, a former fawner, a former people pleaser, just conditioned to constantly make other people's emotions my responsibility, constantly giving, being the rescuer, the fixer, the soother, the emotional crutch for everyone. Everyone can dump on me, I'll fix your problems, I'll pick up the phone right away. But because of that, I had amassed a circle of friends and people in my life, including my younger siblings, or all my siblings, that only looked at me as a means to take from. I was a chronic giver, so all my relationships were taking from me and benefiting from me. There was no mutuality, there was no reciprocity. And I think that's why one of my attempt back in September, and I've spoken about that a lot on my channel, it was such a needed pivotal point for me because it was such a jarring wake-up call. When I attempted on my life, and I had been beat down so much, and people were still taking and taking and taking and harvesting whatever they needed from me. And I let them because I didn't know any better. And it was a huge reason that led to my attempt. And I call it the CPTSD burnout for me. And it was such a needed, jarring experience, though, because you would think at someone's lowest, when they have attempted on their life, me being locked up in a psych ward, everything, I was at my rock bottom, you would think people would rally around that person and care and show empathy and pour into them. There is no exaggeration in this. Every single person, besides my dad, he's the one person, but every single person in my life left me, deserted me, saw me as no longer useful in their eyes because our relational dynamic was constantly they take, I give. And the second I wasn't able to do that, when I was at my rock bottom, had attempted, got locked up in a psych ward, literally had no life left in me, every single friend and my siblings completely abandoned me. No one reached out, no one comforted me, no one went the extra mile to pick me off the bottom of the depths of hell. And that is why my recovery, I talk about this, but I was on like my deathbed for 3 months. I could not even get up to brush my teeth. And part of the reason why, after attempting and just still being in that headspace even 3 months after, was because of how palpable and painful it was to see every single person in my life that I thought loved me, that I thought was a good connection. Every single one of those people deserted me because I was no longer giving to them. So I was therefore no longer useful. And because of my trauma, my CPTSD, I had only attracted takers and people that displayed high traits of narcissism. As such a giver, as a chronic overgiver and rescuer and fixer, I would just only attract takers and people that needed rescuing and people that displayed high traits of narcissism. So I look at that point in my life last September as the most painful time in my life, but also the most needed. I needed to go through that pain to wake up and have a jarring wake-up call of something needs to change. And that's been my life ever since. It's been working on myself. It's been purging out the unhealthy people in my life, and I talk about that on my channel too, going through an isolation period of having to cut out every single one of my friends and even distance from my siblings because they're toxic. They were not safe people. They were only people that looked at me as a means to reach their end and to harvest from and to take and take and take. And when I was no longer useful to them, I was discarded. So I think the CPTSD burnout phase is honestly such a pivotal point and a needed point for CPTSD victims and survivors to go through, because it is really the point, the fork in the road where you've reached a point where you can no longer continue through life like this, and you have to choose to heal and for things to change, or you will continue to suffer and be beat down by life.